Hey, VC here, and look, I love racing all the bikes. I'm not very good at any one discipline, but I'm pretty decent at all of them. So I'm going to tell you the story of the 2022 Otter Classic, where I raced in every discipline I could with the goal of getting mid-pack in every one of them. That means the circuit race and the road race and the 80K mountain bike race. But that also includes gravity events like dual slalom and downhill. I'll be racing 3 different bikes: the Canyon Ultimate, the Canyon Lux, and the Canyon Spectral. I'll be doing 5 events over 4 days, and this is the video of how that went. Because look, I'm usually mediocre among the elite, so I might as well be elite at being mediocre. Alright, so the first thing we gotta talk about is the schedule, because it's crazy. Thursday, we got the circuit race, downhill practice. Then on Friday, we've got the road race, and we've got to get our XC bike ready. Then on Saturday, we have that 80K XE race and more downhill practice. Then Sunday morning, we have dual slalom and the downhill race. The logistics of getting where I needed to be and when was hard. So we're starting with the circuit race. That was at 9 a.m. on Thursday. Absolutely a stacked field. This one had the most riders in it. So I guess technically maybe the biggest spread to get mid-pack. So I'm going to let almost the whole first lap play out while I kind of explain a little bit about what this project is and why I'm trying to do mid-pack. Now, we're coming into this circuit race with a pretty solid squad. We've got Preston, we've got Evan. Evan's probably our best chance at doing well here. We have Chris Tolley, we have Steven, we have Sam, and we have Nick. And we also have Grant kind of guest riding for us. But this course starts off with a pretty gradual climb, 4%, something like that, and then kicks up really, really hard towards the end. We are on the Laguna Seca Raceway. This shot right here is from Chris Tolley, who is like our main sprinter, and dude, he did so well. That's me in the long sleeves. This is my power, right? So this hit, you're getting up to 11%, 12%, and it is full poop pants effort every single lap just to get over the top of this. Now, the quality of riders here is unbelievable, right? I know it's like, oh, all the hitters are here. But to my right is the National Masters Champion, Sam Benedict. Okay, you've got the whole Specialized team. Cam Piper is here flying. You have the whole Legion squad, which they basically have World Tour pros on their team. You've got the Miami Blazers, who they've got some hitters. And this course, I know it might not seem like it because there is this like 5-minute climb every lap. It's much more suited towards a sprinter type of power profile because it's so fast and so surgy. Now, here's the downhill, the corkscrew, famous corkscrew. And I've worked a lot on my bike handling skills in the last year. This guy, so many guys, there goes Kenny flying. So many guys were dragging their brakes down this. And this is my 3rd time racing this course. And so I know you don't have to do that. You can just absolutely full send it all the way down into this section. But a lot of guys were getting popped so quickly on into the race. And so I had to close a few gaps. And, you know, that's just not where you want to be in these races, right? You don't want to be at the back, especially with that climb. Now, one thing is that unlike a lot of the high-end pro athletes, I show everything I do all the time, all throughout the year. A lot of other pros, high-level pros, they'll target just a few races, and that's it. That's all they'll talk about. And so sometimes it looks as if fitness just is a flat line or just a steady line to the sky, and that once you achieve a certain level of fitness, that's it for the rest of your life. That's not really how it works. And so you have peaks and valleys in your fitness. Now, I've just come off one of the biggest peaks of fitness I have ever had and some of the best success that I've ever had in this sport. And I'll talk about that in just a second, but here we are hitting the climb. We go to Chris Tolley's camera, he's behind Sam Boardman, Cam Piper, and I don't know who else is up there, but Chris Tolley, our sprinter, is literally playing at the front. I started super tucking, which it looks like hairy balls coming into your screen. I hate the way it looks, but it's so efficient. Now, maybe I shouldn't say I super tuck because then someone will DQ me, so I didn't super tuck. Those are just hairy balls dangling in front of the camera. Back to my fitness. So in January, I came out with a 5.2 watt per kilo FTP. I was on top of the moon. I was competitive at Rock Cobbler. I was extremely competitive at the Valley of the Sun stage race, where I had the best legs of my life. I was working for my teammates, so results didn't really go my way, but I knew I was competitive. I then did the Snelling Road Race, which is one of the biggest road races for NorCal. I did a hour-long breakaway, just crushing it. I got second at the Merced Crit by lapping the field with my teammate. I got second at Crit Cross. I also did a 35-hour, 300-plus mile ride through the night. Oh, also edited that film. And 2 days before this, I flew up to Oregon to do some content creation for Best of Both. And I look at the clock, and we're 10 minutes in. So just like this year, this feels like a lifetime. It feels like we've been racing forever. And I feel like I've already been doing things all year forever. So currently going into this, I am at a lull in my fitness. I'm not running as high as I would like to be. But that's you can't get around it. I've just come off of doing some of the best power and getting some of the best results and doing some of the most amazing things I've ever done in my cycling journey. So you're just to expect you're going to hit a little bit of a lull. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to do a mid-pack jack type project, because if this was my only focus, if the circuit race was my only focus, what is the best I could possibly do here? The best I could possibly hope for is top 10. And that would be if I only solely focused on this race, if this was my A goal, which it's not. I'm a filmmaker that races bikes. I'm not a bike racer that makes films. And so I've got a lot of other plans. I've got to go do BWR and Red Bull Rio Grande and Gravel Locos and Unbound XL. And I will be the national ultra distance champion this year. Plus I've got 3 other freaking impossible routes. So all I'm saying is that I'm extremely busy. And the fact that I can be side by side with Corey Williams right here with all that going on is insane to me. Another big thing that's changed for me this year is that I've accepted who I am as an athlete. And I am much more of an ultra distance type of guy and power profile. Every real success I've ever had has come in the way of 12 plus hour rides. That is where I feel at home. But I've always sort of felt like I needed to justify or make excuses for or explain why I don't always do good in some of these big races. But do you see anyone else doing everything? No. I'm kind of one of the only ones doing this. I'm also super tucking because UCI doesn't matter. USA Cycling don't matter. Got my hairy balls in front of the camera, rooting the shots, but flying down this downhill, not hitting the brakes once. You're getting close to 50 miles an hour in this turn, which is kind of sketchy. So right here, you can see it just lined out. And the guys started to push the pace a little bit around the halfway mark, but most of the racing was all happening on that hill. So a little bit of gaps were opening up, but it was pretty easy to close those down by just taking good lines through the course. I am suffering, though, as most people are. I look at the clock, 31 minutes. Okay, we're only halfway in. I don't know how much longer I can sustain this. I can ride for 24 hours, no problem, at a high power. But this repetitive, just punch to the dick over and over and over again is so much more of a sprinter's paradise. And just the way their muscles are built and the way their power is developed, it's just not for me. And whatever, say that's an excuse. I'm out here doing it. I love it. I don't care. I'm gonna try to rip my heart out via my legs. That's just what I do all the time. And like I already said, I'm kind of coming off of, a big peak in fitness, so I'm bound to hit this little bit of a lull, and I'm trying my best, and hairy balls in the camera shot. We keep hitting these, and it's just getting so spicy. And it's just going to wear me down. It just is going to be what it is. Now, we still have Chris Tolley and Evan in the group. We've lost all of our other guys, and now we lose me. Now, I knew this was going to happen. I knew as soon as going into this lap that if I wasn't on the very front of that group and I could sag the climb, I was getting popped. But it don't matter because the goal is mid-pack jack. So I actually fall back and hang with these two guys, Dante, and I don't know what this guy's name was, but they were riding strong. And what's the goal here? Let's finish this thing. I don't care if I got dropped with 2 laps to go. I don't care. It's not a big deal to me. Let's finish this thing, and hopefully I'm mid-pack. When I do look at the results, I would have had to have made it another 2 laps to really make it any further up in position. So this really honestly was about the best I could do. And look, we're racing for 45th, but that might matter to me. So I kind of creep up on him, and then he starts going, and I start going, and then we sprint to the line for 46th place. Which sprinting for 46th place is the absolute most Fred thing to do, but when the goal is mid-pack across 5 different disciplines in 4 different days, I am stoked with this. I don't know how much better I could have honestly done, even if I had been totally on form. Now, we did get Evan top 10. He got 8th and almost was going to do a little better. Chris Tolley got 27th, I believe, and I was the 3rd best finisher on our team at 46th place, 3 positions out of mid-pack. But if we break it into the thirds, boom, mid-pack Jack. But I've got to now hop butt to get over to the downhill course so I can do downhill practice. This is the same day. Okay, I just did the circuit race. I had to jam down to the expo and get this bike, a demo bike from Canyon, and ride this freaking full squish thing all the way back up to the top of the downhill. And it's so windy, right? All the downhill stuff was later in the day, and so you're hit with this like block headwind. Now look, you're gonna watch it and probably go, bro, I'd double backflip that triple. Oh, I'd blow up that berm. This is my first time on this course, okay? First time on this bike. I'm in running shoes. Chill. I'm just trying to get my bearings. Now, downhill though, okay, in this downhill course, practice is so vital to your speed. Getting enough practice in and learning the lines and getting comfortable quickly is one of the most important parts of that sport. And unfortunately, I only had enough time to do 1 run, but I was so happy, dude. By myself, I would feel good. But then when I'm comparing myself to Bernard Kerr and these other guys, just randos it's really crazy. It's like, oh, this is like a sport. This is so different. But I have a giddiness. I have an excitement about doing it. Alrighty, so now we are on to the road race. This is race number 2 of the week. Now the road race, extremely hard. We've already done the circuit race. We did a little bit of downhill, and now this is going to be about 3 to 4 hours. I did this race a while ago, back in 2019, 2020 maybe, and I did this video on it called The Hardest Race I've Ever Done. It's hard. Here, I'm trying to get as far up front as possible, and I ended up picking up some kind of thorn or something in my wheel. So vegan excuses. I start spraying sealant pretty much immediately on the climb. Now, it's not an excuse. It's a testament to tubeless technology. A lot of guys flatted in this race, and if I had tubes, there is no saving it. But with orange seal and my IRC tires, it did seal, but for whatever reason, maybe I hadn't refreshed the sealant in a while, or just there was something still stuck in there. It was spitting the whole climb. Now I started with about 90 PSI. Here's Corey Williams, so I'm clout chasing. Look, I'm near Corey. All of his achievements give me better status, So I'm spitting and I'm spitting and I'm spitting and I'm getting so frustrated. No. But I have been so lucky when it comes to mechanicals for so long, years without flatting or having any sort of real serious issues. So, it's bound to happen. One thing I was happy with, at 190 beats per minute, I could still talk.
That sucks.
So I'm digging deep. It's hard. This climb is brutal, but I actually came into this race feeling really good, really spunky. The circuit race sort of kind of cleared out the legs a little bit, and I made it over the top of this climb. I know with 190 beats per minute heart rate, but I felt totally at home. I felt fine. Now, this race was very strange. It was either full gas or you were just absolutely noodling. So then we hit the climb for the second time, and look, this course was basically you poop out of your pants and you bleed out of your eyes on this climb. Then it's a little bit difficult over the top, but then it all kind of regroups, and then you just ride until you do it again. Now here is my tire pressure. That's 21 PSI. That's right when I got back, I put it on. So maybe I'm not 21 PSI right now, but by the end of the race, I was at 21 PSI. 21 PSI. Look, again, it's not an excuse. How crazy is it that on tubeless technology, I'm able to keep riding at 21 PSI? Now, your boy's light. I'm a feather. Cool. So maybe someone who's 200 something pounds, that's not going to be the same situation. But I almost didn't really even feel like much about the tire. Or at least on climbing, it didn't feel that big of a deal. When we were going a little bit faster, that did become an issue. But the climbs, I was feeling super good. I'm like, sweet, dude. Last time I got popped on the second climb. This time I didn't. All I have to do is slot behind this guy's wheel, and I'm totally good. Oops.
Oh.
So now let me sing you the song of my people. Hey, but I made it on. And with a little bit of help from Steven, our teammate, who Steven was running really good, Evan was running really good, Preston was running really good, Sam was running really good. Chris Tolley was supposed to be in this race, but he dipped out to like a fashion show in LA or something like that. I come flying up the inside because I am feeling aggressive. I've got a little extra testosterone flowing through the veins. I want to do well here. I know that this is a mid-pack jack type thing. I don't want to finish mid-pack. I want to finish as high as I can. I'm trying to do the best I can. It's just, for whatever reason, it always seems to be that I do end up in mid-pack. I've said this before, that I could enter a baking competition for cakes and I would get mid-pack. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. So we hit the climb for the third time. I think that was Andrew from Mike Spikes getting squirrely in the dirt. And I know it looks like maybe it looks like I'm far to the back. I'm actually not. I was actually descending pretty freaking well, getting pretty far up so that I didn't have to surge. Because for me personally, I don't have the 600 plus watt range. That's just really hard for me. But 300, 400, 500 watts, not so bad. So I just got to watch out for these huge spikes into the 600 and 700 watt range. This little part, everyone was just blasting over the top, but it's cool. I made it. I'm on this guy's wheel. I can settle in. I can recover. Yeah, I'm at 194 beats per minute. All good. As long as he keeps the wheel, I should be fine. Because I'm looking down, and now I look up.
Emotional damage. Thank you, Hunter.
Hunter, such a good guy. I really appreciated that. And, that's kind of comes into like racing your bike. I had texted him afterwards and I was like, hey man, I really appreciate you helping me get back on. And he's like, oh, we're all in this together. And that sort of mentality of like, we're all racing together, even though it's an individual sport. I thought that was really cool that he didn't just look at me and go, well, my team's up the road. I don't need to play these games. And then we hit the climb for, I think, the fourth time. And I'm in the zone now. Right? So every time you hit the climb, the sheer intensity is going to drop. So the first one's going to be brutal. The second one's still going to be really, really tough. The more times you make it over, the less intense those watts are going to be to maintain. Also, right here, everyone's bunching up. Like, why is everyone bunching up? Why are we going slow? I love it. This is cool. But I don't think you can see it here, but Corey at one point was on the front of the climb. He led the climb over. Right here, I crest over the top. I'm feeling so very good about where I am and how I'm riding, even though I've only got 20 PSI. Now, the PSI issue was not a big deal on the climbs or really anywhere. I didn't really notice it, except for this one freaking section. And I was so confused at why this was hurting so bad. I'm making good moves. I'm making the turn well. I'm not hitting my brakes. I'm doing so many watts. And for whatever reason, because I would say that low PSI, at that speed, it's just you're not able to roll the way you usually would, right? We're going 34 miles an hour, and yeah, I mean, I lose the wheel, but it's like, gosh, it was so frustrating. So these guys come around, and they're freaking pissed, and it is what it is. I sprint to get back on, and that one section every time was just throwing me for a freaking loop. And again, I just want to remind you, 21 PSI. Now, that 21 PSI definitely came at the end of the race. So I don't know, maybe I only have 40 right now. Maybe I only have 30. Maybe I have 50. But it is a thing. And so I'm like, okay, well, I just better have that not happen again. That one section, as long as I can just stay with the group, I think everything is going to be fine. Corey is still in with the group here. And so, again, I can't remember when he got dropped, but all I remember is Legion just, like I said, teleported off the front, and then there was a huge gap and a huge split. I think of like top 5 or 6, and then I was in a group from like maybe 7th to like 30th, maybe, or 35th, maybe 40th, something like that. And so we hit the climb again. I am so stoked that I've made it this far. I'm feeling great, and the climb is really, I want to say no issue, but I felt so comfortable climbing. I was seated, doing well, my heart rate, going through the roof, but I can do this a couple more times. All I got to do is make sure I don't get stuck behind a guy that opens up a gap. And this little end pitch right here, they would just drill it. But Mike's bikes, they're awesome. Awesome guy. He can't let the gap open up. But my boy Preston absolutely comes through. Me and him kind of cycle through a few, turns. Hairy balls, again in the shot. The hairy ball power this weekend was just on another level. I was able to use that many times to stay on the group. And so if you need to know tips and tricks about how to stay on a group, the hairy ball move, it's the way to go. Now the race starts really picking up in the last half. Because it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was super hard in the beginning. I mean, that one climb was really hard, but for the rest of the race, it wasn't that big of a deal. And then we get to this freaking section. Dude, I almost hit 1,000 watts. For me, that's like a bazillion watts. That's not my thing. And I just freaking cannot hold when we're doing 34, 35 miles an hour. And there's guys behind me, so they come around. I apologize. I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm an asshole, and I wish that I wasn't this guy. Now, I gave it my all. I absolutely did great. I'm going to show you some power breakdowns here in a little bit. I made it really far, and Positive Polly putting on the hat here. I travel to Monterey. I do this whole thing. Like, we spend a lot of money, and my content is all based on doing the thing that I said I was going to do. And so what if I get a flat 1 mile in? Everything's ruined. So I'm so grateful that I was able to continue and race well into, the later stages of the race. And so when I see the gap, I just got to be Sir Positive Polly.
Oh my God! Wow!
Yeah, getting dropped not on the climb was definitely not what I had expected. I had fully expected to get dropped on the climb, but here's my power. Tons of time in zone 4 heart rate. I actually set my best 40-second power in the last 6 weeks, and then almost my best 2 minute and 30 power for the year. So, but I'm just going to keep trucking. I'm not quitting. I'm never going to quit. I've never quit anything ever. I roll in, boom, I finished. The results, lots of DNFs, tons of DNFs in this race, and I secured myself a mid-pack finish. Surprising. Now, I actually got 32nd because they had Chris Tolley in the results. He was not even in the race. So I get back to the RV. I've done the circuit race, downhill practice. I did the road race. I did my bike prep for tomorrow. Now, next up is the 80K mountain bike race. I get a little family time in and get to bed so I can get starting at 8 a.m. for the craziest race I've ever done. Dude, XC racing, cross-country racing, so fast from the start. I'm doing 400 or 500 watts right now, and it's as if I have the brakes on. It was unbelievable. I had a great starting position, and I knew that cross-country started fast. I knew that. I just didn't know it was like this. And so there's just chaos everywhere. This is part of the Lifetime Grand Prix, which means they've got all the heavy hitters going for like a $250,000 prize purse. My plan was to sort of just hang back and let guys crash themselves out and have issues and flats and whatever the case, and sort of pick people off as I go, because it's a long day. It's going to be a 3 to 4 hour race. I get a little ballsy, try to jump up here. Look, I'm so unfamiliar with cross-country race tactics and how important it is to get to the single track immediately, because once you're on the single track, you really can't pass. And I didn't pre-ride the course, right? So I have no idea what's coming up. I wanted to pre-ride the course. The plan was to pre-ride the course, but it just never happened with the schedule. I had to get this bike dialed in with some new tires, some sealant. I got an oval ring from Rotor. I had to get some new brake pads. I mean, my mountain bike hadn't got a whole lot of love. So it is what it is. Look how cool this is, though. I was having so much fun. And there's going to be so much more cross country in my future because, okay, I'm not super competitive right at the moment. I'm not in the front of the pack. And maybe if you're at a road race already, you're 2 minutes off the front, you'd be pissed. I'm still having a good time. I'm still riding my bike. I'm still enjoying it. And this 2 laps. So it's like a 25, 26 mile course, 2 laps. 6,000 feet of climbing total. So whatever that is in meters, probably a 4 meters, 4.2 crumpets and tees. And so I want to get around these guys. I'm actually feeling pretty spunky at the moment. The high end isn't quite there. The road race definitely took a lot out of me. But no excuses. I'm here to play. I'm here to go as hard as I can. I'm climbing super good, feeling great. I get past this guy and, I'm going to try to close. What's so weird is because it zigzags, I mean, you can see so far up the road. So it's a little bit hard to measure your efforts because you want to just bridge this gap, right? You just want to close it really quick. And in road cycling, that sort of gap is it's like a 10-second effort. It's no big deal. But on mountain biking, it's totally different. Again, trying to just get comfortable with the bike. There's this huge hill right here. I see so many people on it. At this point, I'm feeling pretty competitive. I feel pretty confident that I'm going to get mid-pack, if not better. I feel good about my long power, sustaining this. I feel decent about my skills on the downhill so far. I'm learning as we go. I'm learning the course. I'm learning how to ride cross country and how to race cross country. I'm trying to chase these guys, trying to follow these guys, and I'm smiling from freaking ear to ear. So I don't care. Like, what's the worst of this day? That I got to go and ride mountain bikes? Well, that's a pretty bitchin' day, dude. Right here, I see this guy do that, like kind of cut the course a little bit. I'm learning the tricks of the trade. So I'm pretty far back and I'm sort of feeling like, all right, now's my time to catch up. It's time to really, send it. Let's give it the berries. Right here, what do you see? Nothing. I can't see anything. I see a camera guy. I'm like, great, I'm going to be famous.
Did you get it? God damn it. Fucking hell.
Look, call me a squid, but you can't see any definition right here. But there's this huge mound in the middle that just took your front wheel off. Look, throwing the sponsors some love, always creative shots. There was a bunch of people down right here.
That hurt. Yeah.
I checked the pit boy. I'm pretty damaged, man. My ankle and my shoulder and my hip, they are so twisted, but I don't quit, okay? And again, look, call me a Fred. A lot of people crash in this exact spot. The 10-time American national champion of cyclocross broke his arm there. So, okay, it happens. But now Just trying to shake the cobwebs out of my head, trying to make sure my ankle moves, and let's just get this thing done, man.
I didn't crash that time. So things are looking up. Look, I'm gonna kind of step outside here for a second and be objective on this whole project from a third-party viewer. One might say, dude, this is dumb. Why don't you just focus on one thing and get competitive at that one thing? You're just gonna be flat across the whole board. But the law of diminishing returns really comes into effect when you're racing the best in the country, some the best in the world. Like, what I would have to do to be competitive with Peter Stetina, Lawrence Tendam, Ian Boswell, it's just not feasible, and it's not fun, and it's not where my life needs to be. That is just not what's gonna happen. So now I could focus, and I could maybe really try to like get top 10s, but then that's hyper focused on one discipline. And look, I just really like riding all the bikes. I like enjoying riding, and right now I'm doing that. And I also really kind of want to show that maybe you're like me and you're never gonna go win anything, but you want to ride everything. And so, like, stop second guessing yourself. Just do it. If you want to do it, do it. If you want to do it, do it. I finished.
It is right there. Coming across.
Alrighty, I have to practice. Practice is so important. That is one of the biggest pieces of the sport for downhill and dual slalom. And I have yet to ride the dual slalom course, and the downhill course I only got to ride once. Basically call it no practice. Like, I need to jump the jumps. I don't even know how the course rolls. I'm hurting though, man. Okay, so it has been a long week so far. We did the circuit race and the downhill practice on Thursday. Friday, we had the road race and some bike prep, which was a long day at the expo. We just came off the XC race. Now we're doing some downhill practice, and my body's pretty twisted from that crash. My ankle is really swollen, and my side is kind of messed up. But honestly, riding made it feel so much better. And I think that if I had just gone straight to like laying down and icing and trying to recover, that everything would have like puffed up. But look, I'm not here to lay in bed, dude. I'm here to ride bikes. And you know, when I broke my leg back at the end of Death Valley, social media did not look at me fondly. I got a lot of shit for being plant-based and breaking a bone. And so I've always kind of in the back of my head worried about that. Like, well, I'm going to break another bone. Like, if you race bikes, it's just going to happen. A lot of people broke bones this weekend. So I was actually really happy that I didn't break anything. Did our practice, and then we're ready for the last day. I've always looked at this dual slalom course and wanted to ride it so badly. And this is my first time ever on a dual slalom course, and it is way harder than I ever thought it would be. This little section right here, it doesn't look like it. It's like supercross, super peaky, super straight up and down. And the little dual slalom bit, this, way harder than I thought it was going to be. So it's taking a little bit of time to get used to this, and I'm going to explain how this works. One, you have to ride all the way to the top, but I have to qualify. And so your red run and your blue run combined give you your total score to qualify for the finals.
Riders ready. Watch the gate.
I know they were working on the course last night, Josh. I know after.
Now, because our class, the class I was in, which was intermediate 30 to 39, it only had 14 guys, and the way the brackets work is it's 32, 16, or 8. So since we didn't have 16, only 8 advanced to the final. And I was really lucky that I got to go with this guy, because you just go whenever you want. It's not a big deal. You just do your runs, and that's that. I kind of got to chase this guy a little bit. And right here at the end, yeah, he's smoking me. He's like a young buck. Who cares? But I really give it the berries to get across that finish line. You never know. It might pay off. So now it's my second qualifying run.
Riders ready. Watch the gate.
I have no idea where my time sits at all, if I'm competitive at all. I have no idea. But I definitely railed this one. I felt way more comfortable. Now, the full suspension bike is not really the move. Like, there was so much play, and I had it set up for downhill. When you rip through these berms, and like right here, maybe with a little more practice, if I had given it a little more thought, I could have probably jumped through that section. But this section, I'm just thinking like death, and then this death. There's these little poles, death. I just kept thinking of spearing my face on each one of these, but I absolutely give it everything I have, and I lunge for the line. This is my first time doing this, okay? And now this class I'm in is the 30 to 39 intermediate, so it is the easiest class of the whole weekend that I'm doing. I guess I could be in beginner, but that's not really the goal of this. Like, the goal is to try to cat up as high as I possibly can. So we're all waiting for the results. Top 8 advance. I look, there's the line. Do I make it? Am I in? Boom, there's my name. My 1/100th of a second. That lunge got me into the finals. Now we're on to the finals. Now, the guy that I'm against in the finals had the fastest time overall out of like anyone in the intermediate class. Dude was flying. Was also on a hardtail, but he was 6 seconds a run faster than me. 12 seconds total when you combine the two runs. So there's no way I'm going to find that speed just like magically. So just out here having a good time. Look, I made the finals, and I'm just kind of having the time of my life on this bike. And I feel like the more I rode this, obviously, the more times you get on the course, the better I was getting. And maybe with a little bit more practice, maybe with a better bike setup, maybe on a bike that I've ridden more than this one weekend that I had to give back because it's a demo for Canyon. This isn't my bike. Maybe I could have done a little better. Didn't matter. It was so much fun hitting these berms. I mean, you feel so cool. And it was really kind of eye-opening to see the times of the pros and just how fast they are, because it gives me perspective because I got to ride the course. Like that Supercross section right there, guys were like doubling onto a tabletop, hopping over to the next. It was crazy, man. But look, so much freaking fun. Alrighty, so that guy was on just a whole nother league. I qualified. That's awesome. I had so much fun. Dual slalom is a lot of fun, but you got to really learn your bike. And that guy that I just raced, he's on a hardtail. That's the way to go. Because like I'm coming out of these berms and the suspension is just soaking up. Doesn't matter. I've got to get over to downhill like immediately. Get one practice run in, and then we've got the downhill, and then that's going to be it for the weekend. So I gotta get pedaling, dude. So we jam over to the downhill course. We've done circuit, downhill practice on Thursday, Friday. We did the road race, the bike prep, Saturday, the cross country race, some more downhill practice. We just finished up with the dual slalom, and now we're on to the final race, which is the downhill race. It's just a one-shot go. The wind, I don't even know what to say. I mean, it was 40-mile-an-hour winds. But what was really cool is that it was headwind. So it wasn't a crosswind, so it wasn't that bad. But we started on the last race. I gave it everything.
Go.
So look, I love riding all the bikes. I love racing all the bikes. It's just, this was so much fun, and I wish I could have gotten a little more practice. And again, like the whole thing is, yeah, if I had just focused on one thing, maybe I would have done better in each one discipline. But my takeaway from this whole weekend was just, it's something I'll never forget. It was where I felt like I belonged. I've really battled with where do I belong? Who am I in this space? Because I'm not going to win any one event. I'm not going to be this like, oh, this guy's so good at this one thing. And I really leaned into the fact that, dude, I'm kind of okay at everything. And I felt at home racing all of these bikes. It was a ton of fun. The downhill course on my last run was the fastest time I had had all week. And so I could have easily picked out another 10 seconds, like cut out another 10 seconds if I started jumping some more jumps and being a little less scared of going fast. Like this right here, I definitely could have jumped that. I did get this jump on my final run, and I think there's one other jump that I also got, but there's so much time that I was just leaving out on the course. And so I'll show you the results here in a second, but I gave it everything I had. I was sprinting. I felt fast, but then when you see the times, it's like, oh, wow, wow. Rode as hard as I could all the way to the finish line, fifth race of the week. And my times, look, not great, but if you actually look at, I wasn't that far off. And this is expert class. I'm not an expert, dude. I'm a beginner downhiller. So my time was actually good enough to win beginner class, but like, who cares? That's not the goal. But with a little more practice, maybe a little bit more comfortable on the bike, I feel pretty confident that I could have been top 3 in this field. So like, dude, I'm just on a high right now. I loved this whole weekend. Bro, I am exhausted. I don't know what I've said in this movie or video or whatever it is that I'm making. I know a lot of it's voiceover, but geez, to be honest right now, I don't even care what place I got in downhill. I knew that downhill was going to be the hardest one to mid-pack because of practice. I got very little practice. Also that I was riding at such a high level, expert category. It's like, what just can't just all of a sudden become good at something. Like, we all have excuses, right? We all can say, oh, well, that would be cool if I did it, but I don't have a bike, or but I don't have this or that, or dude, I have as many buts as there could possibly be. I've got 15 buts on me. Who cares? This was an amazing experience. Like, let's say I tried to focus on just one of these events, and I may have gotten top 10 in the circuit race. Or let's just say I podiumed in just one of them. That would be kind of cool. But this whole experience of racing everything was so much fun, and this is something I'll never forget. And for me, at this point in my life, I'm trying to have a good time. And I had a great time. So I hope you enjoyed. And as always, vegan cyclist. I'm so tired.